This is the Patriot Radio News Hour for Wednesday, February the 5th, 2014, as heard on 1010 AM, KXXT Radio in Phoenix, Arizona.
Hey, good morning and welcome. It's the Patriot Radio News Hour. And I, the double Joe Jaquin, CEO, shipping clerk, and janitor, second generation. The show is brought to you by us, the Patriot Trading Group. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. This is an extremely special show. I have Pastor Williams with us today. We're going to have Dr. Rodrigo with us. This is one of these shows where it's a personal show for me. For those of you I've shared over the last few days, how my wife has been sick for a lot of years. I hope that this show will be able to help some of you out there that either are suffering from similar things or know somebody who's been suffering from certain things. So we're going to have Dr. Rodrigo from BioCare Hospital. But before he gets on, I believe Lindsey is here. Lindsey, are you there?
Joe, good morning and welcome. And I greet you from Tijuana, Mexico.
That's right. You are in Mexico right now. My wife is there. Your wife is there.
Yes, we are physically in Tijuana, enjoying the nice warm weather down here. Your wife is right here also, and we just greet all of your audience out there. Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez is the founder of International BioCare Hospital and Health Center 30 years ago, is here also, and we are so glad to be with you today.
Well, it is a pleasure for me. I've kind of been telling our listeners and our audience, my wife has been ill for almost 7 years now, and they've told her here that she had Lyme disease, and there was really nothing more. They could, give her some pills, and not a lot that they could do for her. And then we were going for the big treatment that they said that she needed here in the United States. We sold everything that we own, both of our houses, everything we own, to try to get her well. And it was actually an accident that Sarah ended up in Mexico with you and in the care of Dr. Rodrigo, because I had mentioned it to you out of the blue as we were getting ready to do this stuff here in the United States.
Now, Joe, I understand that for 6 years' time, they have diagnosed Sarah as having Lyme disease. And when she arrived here at the BioCare Hospital in Mexico, where they can do so many things that they are not even allowed to do, the doctors in America. And Dr. Romero, whom she was assigned to at the hospital, began doing an entire bank of tests, and come to find out that she has been mistreated for 6 years, has cost you a fortune, and she doesn't even have Lyme disease. The Lyme disease came back
right,
as...
Lindsey.
Yes. Come to find out that she's got Epstein-Barr, which is the precursor to chronic fatigue syndrome. And finally, after 6 years and thousands of dollars, she's finally being treated for the right thing. What a medical system we have in America.
It seems amazing because, it's hard for people to understand. And for me, I was a non-believer. I wouldn't have believed it until it actually happened to us. It happened to my wife. And it's been just horrible to go through this. And, of course, her guilt because of the financial cost. And then to come to find out, it just seems like here in the United States, if you don't fit exactly into the whole fit exactly into that peg, it doesn't work. And they misdiagnosed. They never seem to have a good answer for what it was that she was suffering through, and test after test, and all the Lyme disease and chronic fatigue and now Epstein-Barr. It is just amazing.
Well, I want to urge everyone out there in your listening audience, please, I beg of you, give some consideration to going just across the border. Within about 5 miles from San Diego, you can get tender, loving care with people who are concerned, doctors who will spend time with you at a reasonable cost, and you can come here. JJ, there's twin ladies. They're 51 years of age. They came here about the same time I did. One of them was perfectly normal. The other had been given up with brain tumors by the doctors in the United States of America. They rolled her in a wheelchair. 1 week later, after the special treatments that they give here at the International BioCare Hospital and Health Center, 1 week later, she was walking down the hallway in the hospital. The most amazing thing I've ever seen. There's another lady here who has the same thing that Sarah has, and she had actually lost most of her memory. It's amazing how she had suffered likewise as Sarah did. And one day she said, I think I'll see if I can make change again. And I said, you can't make change? She said, no, I've lost so much of my memory, I can't even make change at the store anymore. And she walked about 2 blocks down the street to Walmart. And she came back. She was so happy and excited. She was just walking up and down the hallway telling everybody. She said, I've got my memory back. I can think again. She had been here, I guess, about 2 weeks. She was actually able to make change at Walmart again. And did Joe, you know that my wife...
brain fog.
Yeah, it's
brain
amazing.
Fog. That was my wife's, her personal medical term for just that.
Yes, and here they can deal with cancer. And it doesn't have to be the methods they use in the United States of America. There are things here that are not even allowed to be used in America for putting cancer in remission. Diabetes can be taken care of here. Lyme disease, if Sarah had it, which she doesn't. Chronic fatigue syndrome, I'm a perfect example of this. And rheumatoid arthritis, my wife proved that it is. Well, I've said enough. Dr. Rodrigo, 30 years ago or better, established this hospital. We are so glad he's here.
We're going to have Dr. Rodriguez on right after this break. A very special Patriot Radio News Hour today. We're talking with Lindsey Williams, and we're going to have Dr. Rodriguez from International BioCare Hospital. My wife is there right now. She's been there for almost 3 weeks. And this kind of a pay it forward. I know that my wife is not the only person that is suffering from the medical system here in America. She just didn't fit. There is a place that you can go and get the care that you deserve and that you need. And I can testify to the fact that this is a state-of-the-art facility with state-of-the-art care, and my wife is not, every day I talk to her, she tells me how wonderful the staff is, and Dr. Romero, who her doctor is. And I believe we've got, Dr. Rodriguez, are you with us?
I'm with you. Thank you very much for inviting me in.
Well, first of all, it is an honor and a pleasure, sir. I'm truly grateful for you and your staff to be able to provide not only my wife, but all the other people. And I know my wife has told me people from all over the world come to your hospital.
Yeah, we have people that really come from very different origins and countries. And yeah, we literally, it's much more than our name. We're an international facility. And we really do our best to make out of each and every stay of our patients the best we can do for them. We understand their concerns, we understand their worries, and we understand that what they need is care, they need professional care, and they need help.
Well, let me ask you this, Doctor, because obviously I would have never done this. My wife would have never have done it if we had not talked to Lindsey about this. What is it that you guys do at BioCare that is so different than what's happening here in America?
But I would have to begin with I would say, a much more humble approach. You see, when you go to a doctor in America, and this is really commonplace, and many of your listeners will identify with this, you go to the doctor, you tell them what's going on. He barely talks to you, he barely asks questions or does anything, but he sends you for a battery of tests. Whatever that battery of tests tells you, that's what he's going to try to cure. He's going to give you prescription drugs to solve the problem. And if you don't, and you just said it with your own words, and if you don't fit anything in terms of what is going to be the treatment or the diagnosis, then they're going to tell you that what you need is a vacation. And I've seen it over and over again. People that are just sent out cold without anything because they said, what you need is a vacation, what you need is an antidepressant, what you need is something to do because you're very worried, etc. And this is something that we have been working with for decades. When we started working with subclinical opportunistic infections, which is what all these diseases are, all these group of diseases, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, Epstein-Barr, even herpes, candida, etc. All these subclinical infections, when they started coming out, probably in the 70s, I remember doctors with an absolute denial. And even today, if you go to the doctor and you say, I might have a subclinical infection, they're going to tell you no. Because what they want to see is the typical case of very high white blood count. They want to see all the elements of an infection. They want to see pus. They want to see inflammation. But what people suffer is a real mild infection that, because it doesn't elicit any of these huge body responses, it just lingers in your body for years and years and years. And you know what? These little things, these tiny things, work in concert. So the end result is they affect everything in your body. They affect your brain, they affect your liver, they affect your muscles, they affect your strength. And, we have seen young people, that are literally in bed most of the day because they just don't have the energy to move around. Now, what's happening with people nowadays is that we are seeing the putting together of two important things that are happening in our day. One is we have individuals whose immune system has been damaged. We're literally damaging our children's immune system because we are using a lot of antibiotics from birth. Any little coughing, any little diarrhea, anything, whatever happens to a child, we give them antibiotics. And this upsets the intestinal flora, which is the most important organ that is going to be helping us to develop a healthy immune system and a healthy interaction with our environment. Because bacteria are going to be around us. They are around us all throughout our life. And if we don't develop a healthy relationship with that environment, we're going to get sick. And we do that because we damage our intestinal flora. We do not eat what we should eat. We're depleted in essential, important nutrients, and we damage everything on top with drugs and drugs and drugs. And we have all sorts of excuses because we have flus, we have sneezing, and we have coughing. And then as we grow older, then we have some allergies, or we might have asthma, which, by the way, might be triggered by a vitamin deficiency more than anything else. But nevertheless, we treat it with drugs, many times even with steroids. And then we grow up a little bit more, and we have acne, which is another manifestation of a poor diet. And then we treat it also with all these drugs. So as we grow up, we have this constant assault of drugs and drugs and drugs. And when you go to the doctor, he never asks you, how many times have you had antibiotics? He just prescribes whatever he wants and never goes back to see how can I replenish the intestinal flora, how can I help the nutritional condition of the patient, and so forth. That you get if you go to the vet. Your vet is going to be very interesting in what you're feeding your pet. But doctors never ask you that. So they just give you prescriptions, and this has produced all this damage. And then to make it worse, we are on denial. Then you say, I don't feel good, I don't have strength, I feel sleepy all day. And they think you're depressed, so they give you an antidepressant, which I would say in most of the cases works the other way around. And then you have people sleeping all day long to start gaining weight, who have lack of exercise, and who even get even a worse diet as it could be done, but they even eat worse. And all these brings overweight and metabolic syndrome. And there you go. And then you keep adding and adding and adding, and by the time we see them, 30s and 40s, many times they're in very bad shape.
Well, Doctor, two things. One, if I could get you to speak up a little louder, that would be helpful. But it sounded like to me, here's what I'm going to try to break down what I think I heard you say, which is America has been all of the explosion in all of these, whether it be Lyme or chronic fatigue, Epstein-Barr, a lot of it has to do with the fact that every time any of us get a sniffle, we go to the doctor and immediately it's an antibiotic. And every time we go to the doctor, that's what they want to do. I know with my wife, that's exactly how it started. Just take this. Oh, wait, that didn't work. Take this. That didn't work. Take that. And for years now, she's been feeling, like you said, with this condition where it's gradually, slowly, year after year after year, it got harder and harder for her to do anything.
Yeah, because your body is fighting this chronic problem, which, by the way, brings chronic inflammation to your body. So you have all these little pains and aches that you don't know where they're coming from, and you're using, or I would say wasting, a lot of energy, a lot of potential, a lot of performance, because your body is trying to fix this. But it doesn't have the tools. It doesn't have the right tools. It doesn't have the right elements. So what we do in here, we understand that you have to do two things simultaneously. On one hand, you have to fight off this microbial activity. And you have to fight it in a way that's not going to damage the intestinal flora or the immune system, because that's exactly what we want to build up. So we couldn't damage it. So antibiotics are definitely out of the equation. So what we use is we use oxidative therapy. Oxidative therapies that can be given intravenously that are going to fight off all these microbials and are going to put them down. But at the same time, we start raising the immunity. We start raising the immunity by detoxification, by cleansing, by a different type of a diet, which is going to be very abundant with fiber and nutritional elements. We do also intravenous supplementation. In other words, we make sure that the body gets everything it needs to work well. And then you have really the hand of God, because once you give the body the tools and you start fighting off these bacteria, then your body starts taking over. And that's what you can see in people's faces. When the body starts taking over, you can see how they change. Then it's not anymore that you are on crutches, so to speak. You're not on needing antibiotics to keep these things down all the time, but your body has taken over and starts controlling them, and your immune system starts working, and everything starts clicking in a different direction, and people can see and can feel the difference, because inflammation is going to go down, pains and aches are going to go down, then all these nervous system problems that people had start to go away, and people wake up and they say, I had a very good night's sleep, because they're tired all the time, but they cannot sleep. That's the irony of the whole thing. But people tell you, I really falling apart, and I don't have any strength, I'm very sleepy, I can hardly open my eyes, yet they cannot go to sleep. And that's also one of the big problems. So when the body starts taking over, when the body starts doing what it should do, then all of a sudden everything starts clearing. Because it's not a matter of what bacteria or what viruses we have around us. It's how our body is going to fight them off, and how the body is going to react to them, and how efficient your body is in keeping all these things off your system or working along with them, because there is, of course, a lot of bacteria that live in our body that work along with us, and they're actually beneficial.
Hold that thought, Doctor. We're coming up on a break. Welcome back. Patriot Radio News Hour, a very special show today. We have Dr. Rodriguez with us from BioCare Hospital in Tijuana, Mexico, where my wife currently is. And this show is for people out there that you haven't had the answers here in America, and you're looking for something where you can get some help. I can personally tell you that for my wife, Dr. Rodriguez and his hospital has been the answer. And Dr. Rodriguez, welcome back to the program, and just kind of really almost simply saying that a lot of the medications or the answers that are provided here in America may actually be preventing our bodies from actually fighting these infections off?
That's one of the things that really worries me. I feel at some point that we're even creating children that are not going to be working to their fullest or being to optimum health because of what we do. And what is what we do? We, number one, fill them with antibiotics. We overwhelm them with vaccinations. We give them very poor nutrition. You know, every time I see a housewife going out with her children and stopping at the window of any fast food place, I feel like if they stopped at the gas station and say, fill it up, I mean, they're not feeding their children. They're literally just filling them up. They just want whatever food they can put in these babies' tummies or these kids' tummies, so they will not be hungry for so long. But if you take a look at what's called children's menu in any restaurant, you're going to see the worst part of the food chain. You're going to see the fried food, the overwhelming amount of fat, of bad carbohydrates, refined sugar, refined flour, etc., etc. We never stop to think what we're going to feed our children. And every time I hear a mother asking a 3-year-old toddler, what do you want for dinner? I wonder, what does a 3-year-old know about what he or she should be eating? I mean, I come from a generation where my mother fed me whatever she thought was right for me, and I distinctly remember my mother telling us she was going to be doing some type of diet because winter was coming and she wanted us to be well defended from the flu season, etc. We don't do that anymore. We create a lot of problems, and with that comes deficiency, which is the next thing. The worst thing you can do to a child is give him anything green, because we have educated them that way. We never taught them to eat greens. So when they grow up, they hate it. They don't want to see it. So they don't have fiber. They don't have vitamins. They don't have minerals. Minerals are the number one deficiency in America. Why? Because the biggest and most important source is vegetables. So we don't eat vegetables. We don't eat fruits. We don't have minerals. We don't have vitamins. We don't have a lot of things. Provitamin D, D as in David, comes from vegetables as well. So, and to make things worse, we really have now an indoor lifestyle. So we're very depleted with vitamin D. And there are very important studies that prove, for example, that if a mother is deficient, an expecting mother is deficient in vitamin D, or a child is deficient in vitamin D, chances will go really up for him to develop allergies and asthma. So all these conditions, I mean, we are actually doing things that go against the good quality of life and the good quality of performance and immune performance of our children. So, and it's not surprising, I don't think it's surprising for anyone now to see somebody dropping dead when they're teenagers or young guys because of heart problems, or have a man with 40 years old with a heart attack, or a 35-year-old lady with cancer. We're in looking at deadly diseases at much younger ages. And all this really worries me. So what I think, and I love to spread the word, is pay a little bit more attention to yourself because your doctors won't. If you don't take over, if you don't start thinking of your health, if you don't start doing your homework and learning about how you can prevent disease and how can you be healthier, how can you be the best you can be, you're going to be in for a lot of problems, for a lot of expense, and for a lot of pain. So I always urge people to ask questions, to learn about it, and I'm always open for people who want to ask a medical question to call me or to send me an email, and I'm happy to take all those questions free and just give information. Believe it or not, I don't like to see sick people. I'd love to see everybody healthy and thriving and in good health.
Doctor, how do people get a hold of you in your hospital if they're curious or if they have questions or if they even think that they may need to come down to visit you there? How would they go about doing that?
Okay, you have two ways. One is we have a toll-free number, which is 800-701-7345. 800-701-7345. People can call me, can ask for me by name, and I'll be happy to take their calls and answer their questions, which can be any sort of question. The other way is to send me an email, and that is at doctor, the word doctor, DOCTOR, at BioCareHospital.com. BioCare Hospital, B as in boy, I-O, care, C-A-R-E, hospital.com. They can email me a question or they can call me, and I'm very, very happy to answer. I have all sorts of questions, but, it's very important to ask your questions because then you know what to do. You will have an honest-to-God answer, and that can be very orienting and tell you, okay, this is the way I should go. People have a lot of questions about health, nutrition, preventative, etc. Well, here's your hotline for all those.
Wow, what a great service, and I'll make sure we'll get that information up on our website as well so people can get that. If you need that information, you can obviously call our 800 number, and we'll gladly pass out how to get in touch with BioCare Hospital and Dr. Rodriguez for any of your questions. And I just find it fascinating that you're sitting here telling us that we're our own worst enemy. As far as how we take care of our body, as far as how when we go to the doctor, what they prescribe for us to take care of our bodies, to almost allow us to continue down that same destructive path.
It's important that we start relearning and reviewing what are we doing with our lives and with our health.
We'll continue this conversation with Dr. Rodriguez right after the break. Welcome back, Patriot Radio News Hour. A first for us, the second guest ever in the history of our show. Obviously, Lindsey Williams, who all of you know and is on our show on a regular basis. But today, Dr. Rodriguez from BioCare Hospital in Tijuana, Mexico. And I know that sounds strange, because, when you think of Tijuana, Doctor, I think a lot, at least for me, when we first started talking to Lindsey about this, and then my wife made the call and actually spoke to you personally, it's actually pretty safe where you guys are at, and you guys have it set up. You have a shuttle that comes and picks people up and brings them right over the border and all of that.
Yeah, we like to take people by the hand from the time they land to the time they depart. So we really like to escort them and be with them, and mainly because I don't want them to feel foreign. I don't want to feel them confused or anything like that. I'd like them to be taken by the hand and go wherever they want and enjoy these things and do not worry about where to park or where to go. but be taken care of, because that's part of well-being, not to have to worry about those things.
And when they get there, my wife says you guys have nutritionists and all of those things. All the meals are provided while they're there, and part of tying into exactly what you're saying of re-educating people how to allow their body to fight off all of these things on their own.
Well, let me tell you something. With everything that I have said, it just makes sense. I mean, there is no medical treatment that can be successful if you don't watch what you eat. It's what you put in your tummy, it's what you bring to your body, what's going to make a big difference. I always make this analogy, which is very easy for people to understand. If I gave you a Ferrari, you would never use regular fuel. You would get premium. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. If you want a healthy body, if you want a Formula One body, a body that's going to perform well, it really depends on the type of food and the type of care that you give to your body, the way your body is going to work and react. So for us, the kitchen is part of your therapy. Actually, your kitchen is much bigger than our pharmacy, because that's what we care for. And of course, we understand that people have personal preferences. We try to address them too. So not necessarily, you do not have to eat what you don't like, because I know I can show you how to eat what you love to eat and still be healthy. If you just make few changes, if you just see it from a different perspective. And we really cater to everyone's needs in terms of nutrition and so on. But also, one thing, this is also very important. In this time and age, supplementation is very important, because even if we try to eat as we should, we're not going to get the quantity of food supply that we could have. Mainly because, again, we're not doing these things right. We should lay the land to rest every 7th year. Who does that? Nobody. We just keep putting crop after crop after crop, and then we have a depleted soil. A depleted soil means a depleted food. And then even if you ate your vegetables and so forth, you might not necessarily get what you need. So supplementation is a very important tool. It's a very easy, cost-effective way to do it, and it can help in a big way.
Well, I'll say this. I know that it's been helping my wife and thousands of other people, and I'm just fascinated as to how more people don't know about what it is that you guys are doing down there. What other things do you guys, what would you say is your primary patient?
Well, we work with a number of conditions, but I would say that the most important part of our activity is what we call now the chronic degenerative diseases, which begin with cancer, with diabetes, with heart and vascular disease, with all these opportunistic infections that we have been talking about. And lately, by lately I mean probably the last 5 years, we're working with autologous stem cell transplantation, which is getting stem cells from your own body and giving them back to you once they have been concentrated and nourished. And we're seeing a real important advancement with these techniques, because it's amazing what your own cells, and I repeat it, it's cells that we get from your own body, and then they're giving them back to you once they have concentrated. So we cleanse the body, we let the person get the best possible nutrition for a few days, then we take these cells from your own body, then we concentrate them and give them back to you. And those stem cells that came out of your same blood or any part of your system can really work wonders in terms of recovery, of immune stimulation. In arthritis is one of the areas where they work very well. In heart, in aging, you see. And aging is all by itself a very important situation, because doctors have convinced us that our energy should go down, that we should be tired, that we should be with high blood pressure, that we should be sick because we are so many years old. But not necessarily so. It's what we do and how we do it what is the real critical thing. So we work with stem cells, and I could tell you, the results are what you can really say rejuvenation.
Just fascinating to think about being able to go down and, like you said, taking your own stem cells out of your body. And the way I kind of understand it, it's almost like you supercharge them and then put them back in.
Right, exactly right.
So, and it sounds so simple, but that here in America, stem cells, just that word, or stem cell therapy or stem cell treatment means huge expense. Not so down there with Dr. Rodriguez. Our final segment with our very, very special guest, Dr. Rodriguez from BioCare Hospital. And I'm going to give you, if you'd like to call and talk to Dr. Rodriguez, you can do that. He's given his 800 number out at 800-701-7345. Doesn't matter what the question is. He's more than willing to speak to you. Or if you don't want to call, you want to send him an email, he will get back to you. It's the word doctor spelled out, doctor at BioCareHospital.com. Doctor at BioCareHospital.com. And Dr. Rodriguez, I can't thank you enough for taking time out to come on my program and to help me pay it forward and help somebody else that may have been suffering as my wife has. And then just truly grateful that there's people out there, unfortunately not in this country, but are out there working on the cutting edge. And it almost seems like you're saying we just need to go back to basics.
It's really that simple. We have to go back to where we were. And I have what I call the 100-year rule. Try to live as if you were living 100 years ago. Try to eat as if you were living 100 years ago. And 100 years ago, we didn't have packed foods. We didn't have any preservatives. We didn't have any of that. We ate seasonally. We choose the foods by what we had around us. Eat locally. Go to local markets. Learn to live with yourself and take care of yourself the same way you would take care of your lawn or your car or anything else. Just be more careful about yourself, and we all are going to be healthy and enjoying time for many years.
And the great part is right now it almost sounds like the way my wife explained it to me was all of these years of neglect. You guys are able to have something through the stem cells and through the nutrition programs and all of these other things that kind of allow the body to kind of catch itself back up and get a lot of the, at least in my wife's case, the fever, the fatigue, the brain fog, kind of allows that to dissipate and become manageable.
That's exactly correct. We have to help our bodies, and we have to put a lot more attention to them because that's our life. And the only way we have to live a life is by being good to others, but we will not be able to do it if we're sick. We will not be able to do it if we're brain fogged or anything like that. We have to be in good shape, help others, spread the word. That's also very important. Tell other people because they could be healthier. They could be. We're talking about wellness. Be the best you can be. Be the better performing you can have, so you can live a long year, but of enjoyment.
Well, Dr. Rodriguez, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. Actually, my wife and Lindsey and his wife are going to be returning from Tijuana on Sunday. My wife will be in the office next week. If you want to call and talk to her, she can tell you all about it. And I hope that we can have Dr. Rodriguez, if he's willing, to join us again in the future, Doctor.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.